Hey guys, Jcers here. So, Ubisoft just released the AC Mirage gameplay walkthrough. Well, they actually released it about 10-11 hours ago, but some of us have to go to work in order to pay off our university tuition, so I just saw it for the first time a little while ago. Me being, though not entirely, an Assassin's Creed YouTuber, I figured that some people might appreciate hearing my initial thoughts of what we've seen thus far, so here we are. I don't have too many thoughts to offer about the stealth and the combat. Though we saw very little of it, the combat seems to be bringing back some kind of counter-killing mechanism, which is interesting to say the least. The stealth looks quite good actually, seeming to be something of a blend of AC Origin's system with some tools from Black Flag, Unity's bomb aiming, and classic crowd blending. Combining that with the new enemy types that provide specific hazards in stealth encounters and black box assassinations sounds great. I imagine that stealth will be very enjoyable to work with in Mirage. That said, the main thing I'd like to talk about is the parkour. I'll be honest, I didn't expect anything more than this, but it's still disappointing to see. What we've seen from Mirage thus far is that parkour is virtually identical to the system in Origins, with Odyssey's vaulting and a different, slightly faster animation for Basim to pull himself up onto a ledge. Aside from that, there is absolutely no discernible mechanical difference between the system we've had in the last 3 entries and the one that Mirage is delivering. The quote-unquote returning moves that Mirage has advertised are hardly anything to get excited about. Corner swings were already in Origins and Odyssey, they're only missing for one game. Vaulting has been in every Assassin's Creed game since AC3, with the possible exception of Origins, where vaulting was linked to specific object types. Counterweight lifts have been in every AC since Brotherhood. The only difference in the last 3 games is that they've been reusable due to the counterweight being held inside the lift rather than above it. Even the supposed new mechanic, the pole vault, has essentially been part of the series since Springboards in AC2's Bonfire of the Vanities DLC, or at least AC Rogues New York, which came out almost a decade ago. From what we've seen, AC Mirage does nothing to innovate in the movement department. However, it doesn't end there. A lot of talk from the devs has been about how fast Basim is and how much work they've put into the animations to make him feel quick and agile. Again, I'll be honest, I trust that they really did try and I'm really glad that they did, but I don't really see a huge difference. What it looks like to me is that Mirage features the same choppy, weird-looking, non-momentum preserving hops that we've seen in Assassin's Creed since the series switched to the current iteration of its engine with Unity back in 2014. There is very little fluidity to Basim's motions when compared to something like Ezio in AC2, and while his jumps may be a bit faster than those of Bayek, the aforementioned problems remain. In fact, I would say that Mirage's approach to level design is going to further exacerbate the series' problem with jump momentum because Mirage takes the AC1 to Revelations approach to level design, highly prioritizing continuous chains of hops and lâchers. It is worth noting that the parkour level design from Origins to Valhalla very deliberately focuses on having the character run along surfaces such as ropes and beams, rather than hop and swing across them, almost certainly for this very reason. In this version of Assassin's Creed's parkour, jumping does not feel good. This takes the problem of Mirage's parkour far beyond that of something like Marvel's Spider-Man. Insomniac's web-swinging system may not come anywhere near the depth found in an older Spidey game like Web of Shadows, but at least it has some depth, some room for visual customization, and on a base level feels good and satisfying to control. No such claim can be made for any of the recent AC games. The player has very little room for visual customization, almost no depth to engage with in the majority of circumstances, and the system just does not feel enjoyable to control. If anything, what AC Mirage will likely serve to prove is that having sufficient level design for parkour to be a viable method of traversal across the entire map is just not enough to make movement gameplay enjoyable on its own. Having mechanics that allow the player to express themselves and to gain genuine mastery with the system is also essential, and this is something that Assassin's Creed has been lacking for a decade. Mirage's attempt to focus on parkour with a movement system that in no way deserves the level of focus it's being given will only highlight that and will hopefully draw feedback from fans that will push future entries in the direction of actually improving the system from a mechanical standpoint. Now, I know that some people might say that I'm just being too harsh and that expecting Mirage to be able to fix parkour when it's a smaller scope game that had to take its mechanics in large part from Valhalla is unrealistic and unfair. In a sense, I would agree. I wasn't expecting Mirage to improve the parkour in any notable way. The thing is, though, that Mirage is supposed to be, in Ubisoft's own words, a return to the roots, and parkour is supposed to be a major focus of the gameplay loop. There is zero justification for why a game that claims to be trying to emulate the Ezio games with parkour doesn't even come close to matching the quality of their level design. There is no excuse for a game that claims to be a love letter to AC1 to have an objectively worse movement system than AC1, despite it being released almost 16 years later. As someone who deeply loves this series, I am tired of making excuses for Assassin's Creed failing to meet even the standards set by its original entry. I'm certain the developers did everything they could with the resources that were available to them to make the best Assassin's Creed game they possibly could, and I greatly appreciate them for that, do not get me wrong. But I have zero plans of doing mental gymnastics to justify a major gameplay system not being fun to use, especially after the series' continual trend of worsening the movement with every single entry since 2009. I'd like nothing more than to be wrong about my assessment here, but I simply do not trust Ubisoft after the track record that Assassin's Creed has had for so long. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.